in the quiet hush of night, when the moon hangs gently above the sleeping world, and the faintest breeze carries with it the whispers of forgotten tales, we turn our thoughts to a story woven with courage, loss, and beauty. The world of Demon Slayer, its quiet forests, bustling villages, and haunted shadows, holds countless truths nestled within its tender storytelling. Tonight, let us drift softly through some of the most fascinating facts that shape this beloved world. Not in a rush, not with urgency, but with the same gentle pace as a lullaby that lingers in the heart. Our first fact begins not with a sword or a battle, but with a name. The name Kamado Tanjiro carries a weight all its own. Tanjiro is written using the kanji for charcoal, tan, and next son, or second son, Gyro, reflecting both his family's trade and his role within it. It's no accident. Tanjiro's life before becoming a demon slayer was rooted in the earthy, humble rhythms of selling charcoal. It was a quiet life, defined by simple joys, carrying baskets of coal, sharing meals with his siblings, and climbing snowy hills with laughter echoing in his footsteps. That name grounds him in the humanity he never loses, even as the world around him darkens. His name is more than a label. It is a memory of warmth, of hearth and home, of everything he continues to fight for. It is a name that calls back to the moment before everything changed, a tether to a gentler past. The second fact floats softly through the threads of the narrative, like incense drifting through an old shrine. Demon Slayer was inspired by older Japanese mythology and traditional yokai stories. Koyoharu Gotuge, the mysterious creator of the series, drew inspiration from ancient legends, where demons lurked at the edge of the forest and heroes wielded blades with names and spirits of their own. These stories are etched deep into Japan's cultural tapestry, tales where good and evil are often separated by a single thread of choice. Even the idea of breathing techniques, those beautiful visual styles like water breathing or flame breathing, can be traced back to old martial traditions and mythic storytelling, where one's spirit and breath were as powerful as their blade. The series doesn't just borrow from myth, it reverently builds its world upon it, giving old ideas a new, dazzling form. And now, let us settle gently into the third fact, one that touches not on the story itself, but on the quiet genius behind it. Koyoharu Gotuge, the creator of Demon Slayer, remains intentionally anonymous. Despite the massive global success of the series, they have not made public appearances or revealed their face, choosing instead to let their work speak on their behalf. Even their gender was unconfirmed until a 2020 interview with Weekly Jump's editor team casually referred to Gotuge with feminine pronouns. This quiet anonymity feels like a reflection of the story itself, one where true strength is often unspoken, and where heroes move in shadows, not for glory, but for love. for duty, for a promise whispered in the dark. Gotoge's decision not to seek fame, even when the world was ready to shine a spotlight upon them, only deepens the sense of mystery and reverence surrounding the series. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful voices are those that choose to remain unseen. And as we close our eyes a little deeper, let us pause on a fourth truth, one that hums softly beneath the surface of the narrative. The patterns of the Demon Slayer Corps' uniforms and Haori jackets are not just decorative. They carry deep cultural and symbolic meaning. Tanjiro's signature checkered green and black Haori, for instance, is based on a traditional Japanese motif called ichimatsu, representing prosperity and continuity. Zenitsu's bold yellow triangle pattern references lightning and fearlessness, while Rengoku's flame-streaked Haori captures not only his breathing style, but also his unwavering spirit. These patterns are not mere aesthetic choices. They are subtle reflections of the wearer's souls. As each character moves, fights, and breathes through the world, their clothing speaks silently of their identity, their heritage, and their personal journey. It's as if each thread in their garments hums with intention, each stitch placed not just to protect, but to honor who they are. And so, in the soft dark of this first chapter, as we drift through truths wrapped in history, art, and quiet thought, we begin to understand that Demon Slayer is not just a story of swordplay and demons. It is a tale of deep cultural reverence, of names that matter, of garments that sing, and of creators who hide behind the curtain so the spotlight can fall gently on the tale itself. Like firelight flickering in a quiet cabin, these details may seem small, but they warm the soul with their presence. As you breathe gently in this peaceful night, let these truths settle around you like a warm blanket, whispering that there is always more to discover, always another layer beneath the surface, waiting to be noticed in the stillness. As the quiet rhythm of the night continues its gentle lull, and the stars above hum softly with their ancient light, we return once more to the tranquil world of Demon Slayer. With every passing moment, the threads of its story wrap more delicately around our hearts, whispering truths born not just from battle, but from the spaces in between. Those moments of stillness, kindness, and artistry that often go unnoticed. Tonight, we carry on through this tapestry, uncovering more of the carefully woven details that make this tale feel like a dream you never want to wake from. Our fifth fact begins with the smallest character in stature, but one of the largest in presence. Nezuko Kamado was designed specifically to be both adorable and fearsome. Her duality is intentional. Gotoge crafted Nezuko as someone who could, in one breath, melt hearts with her soft pink eyes and floral kimono, and in the next, shake the earth with her powerful blood demon art. Her bamboo muzzle often mistaken as just a stylistic element, serves a deeply symbolic purpose. It's not only there to prevent her from biting humans, it's a quiet sign of her self-control, a reminder that even as a demon, Nezuko is still guided by the gentleness instilled in her by her family. She is a being caught between two worlds, human and demon, gentle and wild, asleep and wide awake. Her very existence in the story mirrors the hope that even the most corrupted heart can be touched by love and brought back into the light. Fact 6 leads us into the world of music, the kind that wraps around your senses without asking for attention, yet lingers long after the credits roll. The soundtrack of Demon Slayer, especially its haunting main theme, Gorenj by Lisa, played a major role in the anime's emotional resonance and global success. Composer Yuki Kajiura, known for her rich orchestral style, blends traditional Japanese instruments with modern symphonics to create soundscapes that feel like wind moving through sacred forests. The soft ring of a shamisen, or the gentle beat of taiko drums, often accompanies the quieter moments, while sweeping strings and bold percussion breathe urgency into battles. But the music never overwhelms. Instead, it supports, guides, and elevates each scene. It's no surprise that fans around the world return to the soundtrack, not just to remember the show, but to feel once again that sense of longing, courage, and quiet reflection. In many ways, the music is its own character, an invisible narrator that speaks in a language deeper than words as we drift further into the comfort of this gentle journey. Fact 7 brings our attention to a surprising detail about the breathing techniques so central to the combat of Demon Slayer. In universe, the elemental effects, like water, fire, or lightning, are not literal, but symbolic representations of the breathing styles. This means that when we see Tanjiro's sword cleaving through the air with a cascading wave, or Zenitsu slicing through with a bolt of lightning, these are visual metaphors rather than physical phenomena. It's a way for the anime to express the internal flow of energy, discipline, and emotion each swordsman channels. The breathing styles themselves are derived from real-life martial arts principles, drawing from the concept of ki, focused breath that enhances movement and strikes. It's not magic, but mastery, and through this lens, each character's combat becomes a form of visual poetry, a moving expression of who they are and how they perceive the world. The result is a kind of dance, part tradition, part imagination, brought to life with elegant, flowing animation. And now, a softer note with Fact 8, one that might go unnoticed unless you look closely. Each of the Hashira, the elite members of the Demon Slayer Corps, has a uniquely colored sword that corresponds with their personality and breathing style. These vibrant blades, known as Nichiren swords, absorb sunlight and change color depending on the user's affinity. For example, Giyu Tomioka's sword gleams with a deep blue, echoing the calm, fluid nature of water. Kyojuro Rengoku's sword burns with a brilliant, flame-colored edge, fitting his explosive and passionate spirit. Mitsuri Kanroji's blade shimmers pink, matching her love-breathing style and her gentle yet fierce heart. These swords are not only weapons, but mirrors, reflections of the soul carried in steel. In a world where demons fear the dawn, these blades carry the sunlight within them. And perhaps that's the truest symbolism of all. Each demon slayer wields not just strength, but a piece of light, forged through suffering and wielded in service of something greater than themselves. With each fact, the tapestry grows richer. The characters we admire, the songs we hum, the battles we remember, they are each layered with care and meaning. There is a deliberate gentleness in the way these elements were created, a softness behind the action, as though the story itself knows it must comfort as much as it must challenge. In Demon Slayer, no detail is too small, no symbol without purpose. And as we breathe slower, letting these facts nestle into the quiet spaces of our thoughts, we are reminded that storytelling, when done with patience and love, can be as soothing as it is stirring. So let the weight of the day slip gently from your shoulders. Let these truths settle like falling petals upon still water. And as the wind outside hums through the trees and the world continues to slumber, know that there are still many more gentle truths to uncover in this story of darkness and light, of family and flame, of battles fought in silence and victories won through the soft persistence of the human spirit. The night deepens, quiet and undisturbed, like a calm sea stretching endlessly toward the horizon. With every gentle breath, we move further into the world of Demon Slayer, drifting along its delicate details and hidden layers, each fact a soft lantern glowing along the path. These are not merely pieces of trivia, but quiet reflections of a story shaped by care and intention. So let us settle again into this rhythm, where discovery and rest walk hand in hand. Our ninth fact brings us to the quiet observer, who is, in many ways, the silent heartbeat of the story. Tanjiro's unique sense of smell is more than just a character quirk. It is his way of connecting deeply with the world around him. From the very first episode, we see that Tanjiro doesn't simply react to situations. He senses them. He smells emotions, pain, danger, and truth. When he says he can smell the opening thread during a fight, what he means is that he feels the shift in rhythm, the tiny, subtle moment when an opponent exposes themselves. This ability is a kind of empathy, not just physical, but emotional. It's why he understands Nezuko even when she cannot speak, and why he often shows compassion to demons even as he slays them. His nose becomes a metaphor for intuition, for feeling deeply, and for listening to the world, not just with ears, but with the heart. It's a trait rarely glorified in heroes, but in Demon Slayer, sensitivity is a strength. Fact 10 shines softly through the gloom, like the glow of a firefly, the breath of the sun. The original and most powerful breathing technique is directly linked to the Hinokami Kagura dance passed down in Tanjiro's family. What appears to be a simple festival ritual performed under winter skies and offered to the gods is actually a sacred movement rooted in history. This ancient dance, fluid and continuous, mimics the rhythms of nature, the cycles of fire and time. When Tanjiro first uses it in battle, it's not a new ability. It's a memory awakened, a piece of his family's legacy passed down like a lullaby. This connection between family tradition and combat skill weaves together the spiritual and the practical. It suggests that even the mightiest techniques can come from love, from cultural memory, from something as quiet and humble as a dance performed for a father's sake. In this way, the breath of the sun is not just powerful, it is deeply human. And now we pause for our 11th truth, one that touches on a moment of kindness nestled deep in the forest of shadows. The butterfly motif seen throughout the story, especially in the butterfly estate and among characters like Shinobu Kocho, is not just aesthetic, but symbolic of healing and transformation. Butterflies, fragile yet free, are often associated with the soul in Japanese culture. Shinobu, with her delicate frame and gentle smile, embodies this symbolism fully. Despite being unable to match the brute strength of her fellow Hashira, she transforms poison into weaponry, grace into danger, and pain into calm. Her estate, filled with flowers and fluttering wings, becomes a sanctuary for those in recovery, not just physically, but emotionally. The soft pastels and herbal scents of the butterfly estate stand in quiet contrast to the blood and darkness of battle. It is a reminder that healing is its own kind of bravery, and that sometimes the most powerful fighters are those who choose to mend rather than break. And so we arrive at fact 12, which glows with a warmth that lingers. The bond between Tanjiro and Nezuko was inspired by a simple but powerful idea. What if, instead of fighting alone, a demon slayer fought to save a demon? In many stories, the monster must be destroyed. But in Demon Slayer, the heart of the tale lies in Tanjiro's refusal to give up on his sister. This inversion of the typical hero-demon dynamic adds layers of complexity to every battle. Nezuko is not a sidekick, nor a burden. She is an equal, a fighter in her own right, and a symbol of hope that not all demons are lost. Her protective instincts toward humans, her resistance to Muzan's influence, and her ability to fight without killing make her a bridge between two worlds. Together, she and Tanjiro are not simply trying to destroy evil. They're trying to redeem what others have abandoned. Their journey is one of connection, of sibling devotion, and of a love that defies expectation. In a world ruled by sorrow, they offer a different path, one paved by compassion. And as we drift deeper into the comfort of this evening, these four truths shine softly, like distant stars in a clear sky. They remind us that strength can come from gentleness, that tradition can shape destiny, that healing is as noble as battle, and that love, especially love between siblings, can move mountains. The beauty of Demon Slayer lies not just in its action, but in these quiet corners, where meaning hums beneath every glance, every gesture, every breath. So close your eyes a little more, if you haven't already. Let these stories settle into the folds of your thoughts like cherry blossoms resting on still water. There are still more truths to come, more small lanterns waiting to be lit. But for now, feel the peace of knowing that within this world of darkness and demons, there is light too, gentle, unwavering, and always close by. The night deepens still, and the quiet rhythm of breath and shadow surrounds us like a velvet cloak. Each moment lingers just a little longer, like the fading glow of a lantern in a quiet hallway. And within this stillness, we continue on, unraveling more quiet truths from the world of Demon Slayer. Each fact is a soft footstep on this winding path through memory, mythology, and quiet artistry, where even the sharpest sword begins with a story whispered in stillness. Fact: 13 glows gently with reverence for the past. The Demon Slayer. Core has existed for over 1,000 years, yet it remains unrecognized by the government, operating entirely in secret. Despite its long legacy of protecting humanity from the shadows, the core is known only to those touched by its work, those saved, scarred, or forever altered. Its secrecy isn't just for drama. It's a reflection of how some burdens must be carried in silence. Its members are not celebrated in town squares or written about in textbooks. Instead, they pass unnoticed through forests, mountaintops, and midnight streets, their only reward the safety of strangers. It's a quiet reminder that not all heroes are seen, and not all sacrifices are remembered. The Demon Slayer Corps continues, because it must, not for recognition, but because peace, no matter how brief, is worth preserving in the silence. Moving gently into Fact 14, we enter the world of the upper moons, those elite demons who serve beneath Muzan Kibutsuji, the progenitor of their kind. The upper moons were designed with carefully balanced strengths and personalities, each a mirror to the Hashira they ultimately confront. This symmetry is deliberate. Akaza, with his rigid devotion to strength and beauty in combat, becomes Rengoku's final opponent, not just by fate, but by thematic contrast. One values discipline and sacrifice, the other raw instinct and survival. Doma's unsettling charm and twisted devotion clash with Shinobu's calm elegance and hidden fury. These pairings are not accidents. They're carefully composed echoes, each demon highlighting what the Slayers stand for and what they could become if their pain was twisted differently. It reminds us that darkness and light often come from the same place. It's what we do with our suffering that defines us. Fact 15. Drifts in like a soft snowfall over memory. The swordsmith village, though hidden and rarely seen, is one of the most important locations in the Demon Slayer world. And its secrecy is tightly guarded, even from the slayers themselves. Demon slayers are escorted blindfolded, turned in circles, and taken by secret routes when traveling to the village. This isn't just a security measure. It speaks to how precious and fragile the balance of their world is. The smiths, though not fighters, are just as vital as the ones who swing their creations. Their forge is sacred. Each sword is not simply a weapon, but a vessel, tempered not just in fire, but in quiet dedication. In the swordsmith village arc, we see more than just battles. We see legacy, craftsmanship, and the invisible labor behind every slash and every breath technique. The village is a symbol of continuity. While demons seek to devour and destroy, the swordsmiths build, repair, and preserve. And now, with Fact 16, we return to the soft heart of it all. Tanjiro's earrings, marked by a distinctive rising sun design, are not only heirlooms. They're a sign of his connection to the legendary breath of the sun. These earrings have drawn the attention of demons, particularly Muzan, not because of their aesthetic, but because of what they represent. Worn by Tanjiro's father before him, and by the original sun-breathing user before that, they are visual echoes of a feared legacy. Their design is based on the Hanafuda playing cards, a traditional Japanese card game that holds nostalgic value for many. But within the story, these earrings become more than tradition. They are inheritance, defiance, and destiny woven into one. When demons see them, they do not see jewelry. They see the return of an ancient threat, wrapped in the quiet dignity of a boy with kind eyes. And that, perhaps, is the most terrifying truth of all. That love, when carried bravely, can be more powerful than fear. These 4 truths, like gentle footsteps through snow, remind us that even in a world haunted by monsters, there are patterns, echoes, and quiet designs that stitch everything together. There is an order to the chaos, a softness behind the sword. The Demon Slayer world is not just about death and demons. It is about balance, legacy, and the soft resilience of those who refuse to give up, even when they are forgotten. So let your breath slow, your eyes grow heavier, and your thoughts soften with the passing of each gentle fact. There is no rush here. These truths will wait for you, like leaves floating on the wind, always ready to return. With each part, we draw closer, not just to knowledge, but to understanding, and to the peace that comes from knowing the world, for all its darkness, still holds places of quiet, unshakable light. The night continues to drift on in slow, dreamy currents, and the world of Demon Slayer opens a little further, like the petals of a quiet flower blooming under moonlight. In this hushed moment, where every heartbeat is a gentle reminder that you are still here, still breathing, we continue our walk through the soft tapestry of memory and meaning. The facts we gather are not just knowledge, they are lanterns flickering softly in the dark, each one casting light on a world shaped by kindness, pain, and perseverance. Fact 17 drifts in like a forgotten melody, familiar and tender. Zenitsu Agatsuma's fighting style, thunder breathing, is one of the most visually striking in the series, but he only ever uses the first form. That's right. Despite his frantic personality and often comic fear, Zenitsu masters just a single form, thunderclap and flash. But he refines it to such perfection that it becomes a fearsome signature. It's a reflection of focus, simplicity, and the idea that depth often matters more than variety. Even more striking is the contrast between Zenitsu's usual self, nervous, panicking, afraid, and the quiet, deadly precision he displays once unconscious. It's a duality that echoes something deeper within the show, the strength we carry inside ourselves, even when we don't fully believe it's there. His blade, sharp and electric, becomes a whisper of hidden potential. It's a lesson in how even one thing, done with all your heart, can change everything. With fact 18, we turn to the man behind the shadows. Muzan Kibutsuji, the first and most powerful demon, is modeled after the archetype of a perfect predator. Yet his deepest fear is the return of sun-breathing. Muzan's power is immense. He can shapeshift, control other demons, and regenerate faster than any known opponent. And yet, with all that might, his core is ruled by one emotion: terror. The memory of the original breath of the sun practitioner haunts him so deeply that the mere sight of Tanjiro's Hanafuda earrings sends him into a panic. It's a chilling but poignant detail that even the greatest darkness trembles before a small flicker of light. Muzan's fear is generational, baked into his very bones, and it reminds us that fear doesn't always come from what's stronger than us. Sometimes it comes from what's purest. He has lived for centuries, killing and creating in an attempt to overwrite his own vulnerability. But the truth remains. There is something in the world even he cannot destroy. Fact 19 brushes against the edge of tragedy and art. The anime adaptation by Ufotable is so visually rich that it set new standards in animation, with episode 19 of the first season becoming a worldwide sensation. This particular episode, where Tanjiro and Nezuko fight Rui, is renowned for its breathtaking choreography, music, and emotional storytelling. The animation explodes into color and fluid motion, and the audience, along with the characters, feels every strike like a heartbeat. That moment when Tanjiro's sword becomes fire and Nezuko's blood demon art awakens is now etched in anime history. But what makes it so special isn't just the technical brilliance. It's the emotion. Tanjiro's desperation, his love for his sister, and the quiet determination to never give up. The scene ends not with a cheer, but with quiet tears. That's the soul of Demon Slayer. Beautiful and brutal, fiery and tender, unforgettable in its silence. Fact 20. Tiptoes gently into the story of friendship and fate. Inosuke Hashibira, known for his boar's head mask and wild behavior, was raised by boars in the mountains and taught himself how to fight using a self-created style called beast breathing. Inosuke's style is unlike any other. It's instinctual, erratic, and deeply physical, mimicking the movements and reactions of animals in the wild. What makes Inosuke compelling, though, isn't just his fighting. It's his emotional growth. Born into hardship and thrown into the wilderness, he never learned how to interact with others. But through his journey with Tanjiro and Zenitsu, he learns gentleness. He learns how to be vulnerable, how to accept help, how to cherish others. His evolution is not loud. It is quiet, marked by small moments of kindness and awkward affection. The mask he wears hides more than his face. It hides a heart that's always longed for connection, even if it didn't know how to ask for it. And when that heart begins to open, even the fiercest roar becomes a song of belonging. As we drift through these 4 facts, each one threads itself into the broader fabric of the story. There are truths behind every sword swing, every tear, every flame. And in each quiet corner of the world, someone is carrying us a burden, learning to breathe, learning to become more than what they were born into. The world of Demon Slayer is filled with death and danger, yes, but also with redemption, forgiveness, and the belief that even the smallest effort to protect something good is worth everything. Let these stories rest gently in your mind. Let the images of thunder slicing the dark, of a predator trembling before the light, of fire blooming in a desperate strike, and of a wood soul learning softness, settle like snowflakes on your thoughts. You do not need to hold them. Just feel them softly, like a breath. And when you're ready, we'll continue forward, quietly, patiently, with one more small flame lighting the way. And so we move onward, deeper into the stillness, where every soft flicker of a memory drapes the air like a shawl of quiet flame. The world of Demon Slayer is not just battles and breathing techniques, not only demons and blades. It is a tapestry of human truths, of fragile beauty stitched with grief and hope. As each new fact slips into view, the hush of night seems to hold it close, like a lullaby woven from threads of water, thunder, and wind. Fact 21 arrives on gentle feet, stepping into the spotlight with grace. Shinobu Kocho, the insect Hashira, is the only demon slayer unable to decapitate demons due to her physical strength. But she compensates through her mastery of poison. At first glance, her soft-spoken demeanor and slight frame might seem ill-suited to the brutality of battle. But that's what makes her story so quietly powerful. Shinobu's strength doesn't come from raw muscle or loud declarations. It comes from intellect, precision, and a burning will disguised beneath calm smiles. Her blade is laced with wisteria poison, a lethal substance to demons, crafted with the same care as a flower arranged in a vase. Even in a world where brute strength often reigns, Shinobu reminds us that gentleness can be weaponized with purpose, and that a sharp mind can cut deeper than steel. Her grief, shaped by the loss of her sister, finds its form not in revenge, but in resolve. Every strike of her needle-thin sword is not just vengeance. It is memory, love, and the wish for a gentler world. Drifting now into Fact 22, we find ourselves in the presence of Kanao Tsuyuri, the quiet and composed successor to Shinobu. Kanao was so deeply traumatized by her childhood that she lost the ability to make decisions for herself, relying instead on a coin flip to determine her actions. It's a small detail, so quiet you might miss it, but it speaks volumes. Kanao's story is a soft scar stitched into the folds of the narrative. Sold into slavery as a child, beaten into silence, her survival instinct became numbness. The coin she carries is not a game. It's a symbol of the freedom she's still learning to hold. Yet, through her time with the Kocho sisters and her deepening bond with Tanjiro, she begins to reclaim her agency. Her heart, once frozen by fear, begins to thaw slowly and softly, like snow in the sunlight. That's the beauty of her story. It unfolds not in great battles, but in the smallest acts of choice, in the quiet courage to feel, to care, to speak. And when she finally flips that coin one last time, we see not chance, but the first spark of self. Fact 23 brings us closer to the sacred heart of the series. Breathing techniques, or breath styles, are not just physical disciplines. They are spiritual harmonies inspired by nature's elements. Each style, flame, water, wind, stone, thunder, and their countless derivatives, is more than combat. They're philosophies, rhythms that align the soul with the world. Breath of water flows with tranquility and grace, its movements like rainfall and rivers. Breath of flame burns with focused resolve, like a wildfire guided by principle. Breath of thunder strikes with speed and decisiveness, echoing across time. These forms are not inventions of war, but rediscoveries of what already exists in the world. In training, slayers align their breathing with these ancient flows, achieving feats of strength not through magic, but through perfect harmony of body and soul. It is said that those who master the breath of the sun touch upon the very essence of life itself, the first breath, the beginning. In this, the series whispers a truth to us all. That power, Real power is found not in force, but in presence. And now, with Fact 24, we lift the veil on a character who is both feared and revered. Gyomei Himejima, the stone Hashira, is considered the strongest of all Hashira, despite being blind. And he uses prayer beads and a massive flail and axe to fight demons. His presence is one of gravity, silent, immovable, and deeply spiritual. Gyomei's strength isn't explosive or boastful. It's quiet, rooted like a mountain. His blindness does not hinder him. Instead, it sharpens his other senses, making him perceptive to a depth others can't reach. He prays constantly, not out of weakness, but as a way to remain grounded amidst chaos. His backstory, like so many in this world, is one of heartbreak. He once cared for orphaned children, only to lose them to a demon's attack, an event that shaped his sorrow into unwavering resolve. When he stands in battle, it is as if the earth itself has risen to speak. And in his silence, there is peace, power, compassion. In Gyomei, the story offers a vision of strength born not from rage, but from stillness. These 4 quiet revelations join the others like falling leaves in an endless autumn, each unique, each soft in its descent, and each carrying within it a world of meaning. In Demon Slayer, no strength exists without a shadow of sorrow. No triumph comes without tenderness. Every warrior, every breath, every blade, woven together in a delicate balance of loss and love. Let these truths cradle your thoughts as you drift further into this quiet forest of stories. Let Shinobu's quiet precision, Kanao's hesitant courage, the elemental grace of breathing techniques, and Gyomei's towering serenity guide your dreams. They are not just characters. They are echoes of human truth, softly reimagined in a world of demons and firelight. And as you rest now in the lull between pages, the hush of the next moment already gathering like morning dew, know that the story continues, not in grand declarations, but in the soft rhythm of breath. One more step, one more whisper, one more truth gently waiting in the dark. As the evening deepens and the hush between moments settles across the page, we arrive once more in the quiet world of Demon Slayer, where the faint glow of lanterns and memory flickers like fireflies across the night. Each step through this story, each gentle fact, is like a breath drawn in stillness, a glimpse not just into lore, but into the hearts of those who live and fight and dream within this world. And now, another few threads of that great tapestry await us. Fact 25 rests softly upon the edge of silence. Tanjiro's earrings are not just an aesthetic detail. They are known as Hanafuda earrings and symbolize the legacy of the sun-breathing technique. Their pattern, reminiscent of the rising sun, is both a tribute and a secret. Worn first by Tanjiro's father, passed down quietly through generations, they are a symbol of a hidden legacy, of something ancient and quietly powerful, slumbering just beneath the surface of his blood. To the average eye, they may seem like nothing more than family heirlooms. But to those who know, they are a warning, a remembrance, a fire that once burned with the brilliance of the original breath style. Muzan Kibutsuji, the first and most powerful demon, fears those earrings not because of the metal or the cloth, but because they represent the one warrior style that once brought him to his knees. The sun-breathing user, the first demon slayer, left behind not only a technique, but a symbol. And through Tanjiro, it still burns. Fact 26 reveals a piece of the world that exists just beyond the main path, where laughter echoes and scars are tended. The Demon Slayer Corps has a hidden estate known as the Butterfly Mansion, where injured members go to recover. It is here that flowers bloom in careful rows, where Shinobu's medicines are brewed in quiet rooms, and where those broken by battle are slowly pieced back together, not just in body, but in soul. Within these halls, the hush of pain is softened by the murmur of healing, and warriors rediscover the fragile thread of life that they fight so hard to protect. It is where Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke once trained their battered forms to move again, where gentle hands and warm meals remind the slayers that they are still human, still loved. The Butterfly Mansion is not just a place. It is a breath of peace in a war-torn world, a sanctuary where even the most burdened can lay down their swords, if only for a moment, and remember the sweetness of being cared for. Drifting now into Fact 27, we turn to the blades themselves, those silent companions forged in fire and tradition. Each demon slayer wields a special sword called a Nichiren blade, made from a unique ore that absorbs sunlight. And each blade changes color based on its wielder. These swords are not just weapons. They are reflections. They mirror the soul of the one who wields them. Tanjiro's blade turns black, a rare and mysterious hue. Flame. Hashira Rengoku's sword blazes red. Each color tells a story, a whisper of what lies within. The ore itself is harvested from mountains that bask in the sun all year long, steeped in its warmth and brilliance. It is sunlight made steel, capable of slaying even the most resilient demon. But beyond that, the blade is personal. It becomes part of the warrior's breath, their rhythm, their very heartbeat, in the way it moves, in the sound it makes as it slices through the air. One can hear the story of the person holding it. A sword, in this world, is not an instrument of death. It is an extension of life. And finally, Fact 28 brings us back to the shadowed figure at the center of all fear. Muzan Kibutsuji, the first demon, has lived for over 1,000 years, and every demon in existence can trace their origin back to him. Muzan is not just an antagonist. He is the root of the world's suffering, the source of the night's endless hunger. Yet even within him lies a tragedy, one of fear and denial. Born fragile, Muzan feared death above all else. His transformation into the first demon was not born of malice, but of desperation. And from that one desperate act, 1,000 others blossomed, some monstrous, some sorrowful, all tied to the same dread of mortality. He split himself into many bodies, took on many faces, and hid in plain sight, always running from the truth he refused to accept. That even with power, even with eternity, the fear within cannot be silenced without peace. His blood gives rise to demons, but it also creates sorrow. In Muzan, we see not just a villain, but a mirror, one that reflects what can happen when fear becomes greater than love. As these four truths settle into the silence, like leaves falling into a still pond, the story continues to unfold, soft and slow. Tanjiro's earrings, etched with forgotten fire, the gentle solace of the butterfly mansion, tucked away from battle, the glowing hues of Nichiren blades singing in the hands of warriors, and the endless shadow cast by Muzan, the father of demons, the child of fear. Each fact in this series of whispers has its place, its role in shaping the world of Demon Slayer. Not loud, not rushed, just steady, like the steps of a journey walked beneath the moon. Let the truths of this part settle over you gently, like snowfall. Let your breath fall into rhythm with the character's own. And as we continue forward, know that every step brings you deeper, not into darkness, but into understanding. The hush between thoughts, the space where dreams are born. As the quiet thread of night continues to weave its way through your thoughts, we return once more to the world of Demon Slayer, where each breath tells a story, and every whispered detail brings us closer to the heart of something vast and tender. The facts that follow are not just information. They are soft lanterns glowing on the water's surface, gentle moments of clarity suspended in the hush of a fading day. Fact 29 reveals a side of Tanjiro Kamado that lingers far beyond his strength or skill. Tanjiro has an extraordinarily keen sense of smell, so refined that he can detect emotions, track individuals, and even sense the opening thread, the perfect moment to strike during battle. It's a gift that allows him to read the world in a different language, one most cannot perceive. His sense of smell is not just physical. It's intuitive, emotional. When he fights, it's not simply calculation. It's empathy. He can sense the sorrow in a demon's scent, the tremble of regret beneath their fury. His unique perception reminds us that even in battle, understanding can exist. Even in conflict, connection lingers. And through that sensitivity, Tanjiro doesn't just survive. He uplifts, he honors, he forgives. It is this quiet compassion, this ability to sense the truth beneath the surface, that truly sets him apart. Drifting gently now into Fact 30, we find a hidden story in the threads of history. Before the 12 Kazuki, Muzan's elite demons, there was Kokushibo, a former demon slayer who became a demon himself. His story is haunting, like a forgotten lullaby. Born as Michikatsu Tsugikuni, he was the twin brother of Yoriichi, the original sun-breathing user. Yoriichi was a prodigy, a miracle, born with the demon slayer mark and the natural ability to master the sun-breathing technique, the very foundation of all breathing styles. Michikatsu, though powerful, was always in his brother's shadow. His jealousy, fear of death, and craving for strength led him to forsake humanity and accept Muzan's blood. He became Kokushibo, upper rank 1 of the 12 Kizuki, wielding a terrifying moon-breathing style. Even as a demon, he kept the sword of a slayer, twisted, monstrous, but still echoing with the past. Kokushibo's tale is not one of pure villainy, but of the sorrow that grows in the cracks of envy and the pain of living in the shadow of brilliance. Fact 31 steps into the sunlight with a warmth that lingers on the skin. Rengoku Kyojuro, the flame Hashira, wrote a final letter to his younger brother Senjuro, encouraging him to live a life of kindness and honor, regardless of whether he became strong. The letter is a whisper from a soul ablaze, filled with love and unwavering belief. Kyojuro knew he would not return. His final thoughts were not of regret or resentment, but of gratitude and hope. In that letter, we see the essence of who he was. Not just a warrior, but a brother, a mentor, a flame that warmed all who stood near. His legacy was not his sword. It was his spirit. A spirit that lives on in Senjuro, in Tanjiro, and in the quiet conviction that kindness is never wasted, even in the darkest hour. Kyojuro's words burn gently, not with fury, but with faith. That goodness matters, that love endures, that the strongest flames leave light even after they go out. And now, Fact 32 arrives like a gentle breeze through a forest path. The crows that accompany the demon slayers, known as Kasugai crows, are intelligent messengers, each bonded to a specific slayer, and some even possess distinct personalities. While some, like Tanjiro's crow, are serious and dutiful, others, like Zenitsu's sparrow, are quirky and full of charm. These small companions, often overlooked, are part of the unbroken chain that connects the core. They deliver orders, watch over missions, and sometimes offer silent comfort in lonely hours. Though they may not wield swords, their presence is constant, loyal, and quietly essential. In a world teetering on the edge of peril, even the smallest voices have purpose. Even the smallest wings help carry the burden of the sky. So here we rest, with 4 more gentle truths folded into the quilt of this story. Tanjiro's soul-scented empathy, Kokushibo's fall from grace and the ghost of brotherhood, Rengoku's final letter, a flame passed from one heart to another, and the soft flutter of crows, unseen, but always watching, always guiding. The world of Demon Slayer is a place where the lines between strength and softness blur, where every fact is stitched with sorrow and love in equal measure. And as we settle into this part of the night, may your thoughts be quiet, your breath slow, your heart at ease. Each new truth is like the brush of wind through ancient trees, a gentle reminder that even in stories filled with shadows, light still finds its way in. Let these moments carry you softly, like drifting leaves on the still waters of a dream. There is more to come, always more, and we will walk through it together, step by step, whisper by whisper, fact by fact. As the moon arcs higher across the velvet sky, the world of Demon Slayer continues to unfold, soft and steady, like the hush of a lullaby. With every fact we gather, the story becomes less a distant tale and more a quiet companion beside you, sharing its warmth in the stillness of the night. And so we drift gently onward, deeper into the forest of memory and myth, where blades whisper and hearts remember. Fact 33 takes us back to the roots of technique. The breath styles used by the Demon Slayers are fictional martial arts inspired by real-world breathing practices, such as those found in yoga and swordsmanship. While they appear fantastical in combat, with water turning into waves or flames trailing through the air, each breath style begins with the same core principle: regulated breathing that enhances strength, focus, and perception. Tanjiro's deep, rhythmic breathing isn't just stylized. It reflects a discipline rooted in tradition. In real life, this idea connects to forms of controlled breathwork practiced by samurai, athletes, and meditative practitioners. Within the world of Demon Slayer, this breathing transcends the physical and becomes spiritual. Each breath is a tether to life, to clarity, to resolve. In battle, the breath is both weapon and shield, and in peace, it is the soft reminder that even amid chaos, the simplest act, inhale, exhale, can carry power. And now, Fact 34 speaks in a voice long buried by snow and silence. The creator of the Demon Slayer manga, Koyoharu Gotuge, is one of the few extremely successful mangaka who has chosen to remain anonymous and does not appear in public. Unlike many creators who step into the spotlight, Gotuge has allowed the work to speak for itself, letting Tanjiro and Nezuko become the faces of the story. The decision to remain anonymous adds a certain quiet reverence to the world they've built. The tale of the Demon Slayer isn't tethered to one name, one face. It belongs to the readers, to the watchers, to the quiet hours of night where stories become shelter. The mystery surrounding Gotuge also reminds us of the beauty of silence, that sometimes creation does not demand applause. It only asks to be felt, remembered, and passed on. Fact 35 floats up from the peaceful waters of memory. The water-breathing technique, which Tanjiro first learns, is one of the oldest and most balanced of all the styles, emphasizing fluidity, adaptability, and calm. Unlike flame breathing's aggression or beast breathing's raw energy, water breathing teaches its user to move like a stream, around obstacles, never headlong into them. Its forms have names like flowing dance and waterfall basin, evoking grace and patience. Giyu Tomioka, the water Hashira, embodies this philosophy with his stoic, restrained demeanor. For Tanjiro, this style becomes a reflection of his early nature, gentle, cautious, always striving to protect rather than destroy. Even as he later learns sun breathing, there remains in him the echo of water's teachings, that sometimes the greatest strength lies in yielding, in adapting, in finding stillness in motion. Water is soft, yet it wears down stone. And so does Tanjiro, in his quiet, relentless way. And fact 36 brings us into a quieter corner of the demon world. Not all demons in Demon Slayer are entirely evil. Many, like Tamayo and Yushiro, retain their humanity and actively work to defeat Muzan. Tamayo, a former human-turned-demon by Muzan centuries ago, broke free of his control and devoted her life to studying demons, searching for a cure, and atoning for the lives she once took. She's gentle, intelligent, and calm, more healer than fighter. Yushiro, her fiercely loyal companion, became a demon by choice to remain with her. And though sharp-tongued and proud, his love for Tamayo is unmistakable. Their quiet rebellion stands in stark contrast to the carnage of Muzan's army. It's a reminder that even those tainted by darkness are not beyond redemption. That love, loyalty, and the longing for peace can survive even in the hearts of those cursed. Their story, often hidden in the margins, whispers softly of hope, that not all who fall are lost, and not all demons are bound to be monsters. And so, with these four truths unfurled beneath the soft hush of the stars, the quiet journey continues. We see the breath that grounds the slayers, the anonymous soul who gave them life, the flow of water that teaches strength in gentleness, and the demons who chose mercy over power. In these details, the world of Demon Slayer becomes less about the sword and more about the soul. Each fact is a candle in the dark, illuminating not only the story, but the values that lie beneath: resilience, compassion, and quiet courage. As you drift further into stillness, let the rhythm of these truths echo faintly in your thoughts. Let the breath of Tanjiro guide your own. Let the stillness of Gotuge's silence settle around you. Let the flow of water breathing lull you toward dreams. And let Tamayo's redemption remind you that no path is ever fixed, not for demons, not for humans, not for any of us. There is always room for change, always space for grace. The story goes on, not in shouts or declarations, but in the smallest ripples, moments that linger long after the page turns. Sleep gently, knowing the next chapter waits patiently, soft and slow, just beyond the next breath, as the lantern of night continues to cast its soft glow across the still landscape of thought. We return once again to the quiet paths that wind through the world of Demon Slayer. With each new fact, another gentle ripple forms on the surface of this story. Never loud, never rushed, but always there, expanding quietly like the breath of a dream. These are the things hidden in plain sight, the subtle truths that rest beneath the surface, waiting for nightfall to give them voice. Fact 37 brings us into the shadows of emotion. Zenitsu Agatsuma, known for his fearful personality, only fights when unconscious or asleep. Yet even then, he is capable of executing precise and powerful attacks through his mastery of thunder, breathing. While others train to fight with their eyes open, Zenitsu's strength lies in surrender. When his mind is freed from the grip of fear, his body becomes a vessel for technique so polished it moves like lightning, striking through silence. There is something poetic in the idea that his courage blooms not in conscious bravado, but in unconscious trust, in his training, in his teacher, and in the bonds he carries. His strength is not the absence of fear, but the quiet strength beneath it. One that says, even the most anxious hearts can rise when it matters most. Even those who shake and tremble can become protectors. Fact 38 floats in from the misty past. Before becoming a demon, Akaza was a human named Hakuji, who lived a life marked by loss, redemption, and ultimately, tragedy. As Hakuji, he was a boy who stole to feed his sick father. When his father took his own life to stop him from committing crimes, Hakuji was left shattered. He was later taken in by a kind martial artist and fell in love with the man's daughter. But just as he began to rebuild his life, they were both poisoned by a rival dojo. This crushing grief led him down the path to becoming Akaza, upper rank 3. His demon form is violent and unrelenting. But somewhere beneath the fury is a broken heart, still mourning what might have been. Akaza never consumed women, and he was obsessed with strength and honor in battle. Remnants of a past self that once lived for love and hope. His story reminds us that pain, if left untended, can twist even the gentlest souls into something unrecognizable. But the echoes of who we were never fully disappear. They flicker like a candle, even in the darkest places. Fact 39 takes a softer shape. Muzan Kibutsuji, the primary antagonist, suffers from an intense fear of death and sunlight, both of which define his existence and drive his obsession with finding a perfect, immortal body. As the first demon, he is the source of all others, and yet he is perpetually running. From time, from weakness, from the finality that awaits all things. His fear is so profound that he has reshaped the world around it, breeding destruction in pursuit of survival. And yet, for all his power, he is never truly free. The demons he creates, the slayers he evades, the centuries he outlives, they are all chains in disguise. Muzan is a creature defined not by ambition, but by terror. And in that terror, there is a kind of fragile humanity, a reminder that even those who seem invincible are shaped by their fears. Even monsters were once human, and some never stop being afraid. And with Fact 40, we find a moment of unexpected warmth. Inosuke Hashira, raised by boars in the mountains, wears a boar's head to honor the creature he sees as his mother figure. His aggressive, wild behavior masks a child who grew up alone, unloved by humans, shaped by nature's embrace. The boar's head is not just armor, it is memory, a tribute, a comfort. Inosuke's understanding of the world is shaped by instinct and survival. But slowly, through the quiet friendship of Tanjiro and Zenitsu, he learns language beyond fists. He begins to recognize care. He learns to soften, to wonder, to ask. The boar's head remains, but behind it, there is a boy discovering what it means to be part of something larger. A boy learning to listen, not just to danger, but to joy. Inosuke's journey is one of transformation, not away from his wild roots, but toward a fuller self that can hold both fierceness and tenderness at once. These 4 quiet lanterns now flicker gently in the dark. Zenitsu's hidden bravery, Akaza's shattered humanity, Muzan's fear masked as fury, and Inosuke's wild soul slowly blooming into something more. Each one tells us something about pain, about strength, and about the way we carry our past with us, not as chains, but as stories. Stories that breathe, stories that guide, stories that, even in their sorrow, point toward something brighter. As your breath slows and your thoughts begin to quiet, let these truths rest with you. Let them settle like snow on quiet branches. Let Zenitsu's thunder echo just once more in your heart, not in fear, but in silent courage. Let Akaza's loss remind you of the cost of forgotten kindness. Let Muzan's endless running reveal the peace in stillness. And let Inosuke's snarl soften into laughter. Each of them, whether demon or slayer, carries something deeply human, something that flickers like firelight, something you might recognize, even in the dream world you now drift toward. Sleep gently. There are still more truths waiting for us, still more steps to take on this quiet path, in the gentle silence of night. As the world sinks into stillness, the story of Demon Slayer continues to unfold like the slow, rhythmic turning of a paper lantern in a breeze. The flicker of candlelight may fade, but the memories within this tale remain, delicate, layered, and softly humming with emotion. We find ourselves, once again, walking through the world of slayers and demons, not with hurried steps, but with a quiet reverence for the paths they've walked and the truths they've carried. And with that stillness guiding us, we uncover the next moments of wonder, hidden deep within the folds of this story. Fact 41 opens with a sound, subtle, melodic, and unforgettable. The iconic water-breathing forms performed by Tanjiro were animated using a unique blend of traditional hand-drawn effects and digital enhancements to achieve the look of traditional Japanese ukiyo-e art. This stylistic choice wasn't just about beauty, it was about feeling. When you watch Tanjiro unleash water surface slash or flowing dance, it feels less like a battle and more like poetry in motion. The water wraps around him like a living memory of his father's dance, swirling with grace and sorrow. The way the ripples surge, curl, and vanish into blue mist isn't merely technical artistry. It's emotion drawn in color and movement. It captures the gentle nature of Tanjiro's heart and his approach to combat. Fierce, yes, but always rooted in kindness. The water flows like his spirit, powerful without being violent, relentless without being cruel. Fact 42 gently introduces us to another layer of Tanjiro's soul. His heightened sense of smell is so refined that he can detect the smell of emotions, such as sadness, rage, or peace, and can even use this to locate openings in an enemy's defense. It's a gift both surreal and deeply human. In a world of swordplay and demons, Tanjiro's nose keeps him grounded in empathy. Where others see only blades and threats, he smells fear. He senses grief. He understands the hidden sorrow behind an enemy's scream. This unique ability reminds us that the true strength of a slayer isn't just in their sword. It's in their capacity to recognize pain, even in those they must defeat. Through scent, he connects with the humanity that demons have buried, and in doing so, reaffirms his own. Fact 43 brings us to one of the series' most quietly powerful moments. When Tanjiro first uses the Hinokami Kagura, the dance of the fire god. It is a tribute to his late father, who passed down the movements through a sacred ritual dance under the stars. That moment, when he first calls upon the flames in desperation, is less about power and more about memory. The dance, elegant and timeless, flows from his body like something remembered in the bones. It is not a weapon he learned through training, but a love passed from father to son. In that moment of crisis, when the threads of hope were slipping from his grasp, it was the image of his father dancing beneath the snow that gave Tanjiro strength. And in turning to that memory, he not only honored the past, but lit a new path forward. The fire did not consume him. It illuminated him. Fact 44 is more quiet still. but no less profound. The final sword each demon slayer wields is forged from a unique ore that absorbs sunlight, the only natural force capable of killing demons. This ore, known as scarlet crimson iron, sand, and scarlet ore, is found in the highest mountains, where the sun's embrace lingers longest. It's no coincidence that a slayer's strength is tied directly to sunlight. Just as demons shrink from the day, demon slayers draw their strength from it. It's a symbolism as old as storytelling itself, light chasing shadow. But in Demon Slayer, the connection runs deeper. The sword is not just a weapon. It is a shard of the sun, carried by someone who has chosen to walk into the darkness for others. It's a reminder that even in the bleakest battles, the sun never forgets to rise, and those who fight with it in their hands are never truly alone. So now, as we lie in the warmth of the night, wrapped in silence and story, these four truths join the rest, forming a constellation across the sleeping sky, a constellation of moments and meanings, of Tanjiro's flowing water and hidden fire, of swords forged in sunlight and hearts attuned to sorrow. These aren't just facts. They are lanterns, gently swinging in the breeze, casting circles of light that guide us into softer thoughts, slower breathing, and the tender hush that leads to sleep. Let the memory of ukiyo-e waves cradle your thoughts. Let the scent of emotion wrap you like a familiar blanket. Let the dance of fire under the stars flicker behind your closed eyes. And know that somewhere on a mountain where the sun lingers, a blade sleeps in silence, waiting for the hand of someone kind, someone brave, to carry it into the dawn. And so, we move forward once more, quietly, gently, toward the next gentle truths waiting just ahead. The night continues its slow exhale, the stars blinking gently above as if in rhythm with your breath. Each fact we uncover feels like one more step along a quiet forest trail, soft moss underfoot, the sound of wind through leaves, and distant memories fluttering like moths beneath a paper lantern's glow. And now, as we approach the final turns in our path, we slow our pace even further, letting each moment unfold without rush. These truths, gentle and patient, wait for us just as we are, ready to be heard, ready to be held. Fact 45 rests in a place of mystery and elegance. The Demon Slayer, Corps' leader, Kagaya Ubuyashiki, carries the title Oyakata-sama, a term of deep reverence and respect that symbolizes not just leadership, but a spiritual role as a guiding light to the entire corps. Though fragile in body, due to a long-standing curse, his spirit is unwavering, and his voice, soft, slow, deliberate, reaches even the fiercest Hashira like a calming tide. Despite his worsening illness, Kagaya never allows despair to take root in his presence. His serene demeanor, even in the face of death, inspires unwavering loyalty. The trust he places in the slayers is not born of command, but of belief. And in that belief, many find the courage to continue forward, even when all seems lost. His home is a place of stillness, surrounded by white lilies and sunlight, a sanctuary in a world of sorrow. And in many ways, Kagaya is not just a commander, but a symbol of quiet hope, a gentle reminder that strength can take the shape of kindness, that leadership can be as soft as a whisper and still reach the heart of a storm. Fact 46 turns our eyes to the art of breathing once more. Each breathing style in Demon Slayer is derived from the original sun breathing, and over generations, warriors adapted it into various elemental forms: water, flame, wind, thunder, and stone, each echoing the user's soul. This lineage, hidden in the folds of history, forms a tapestry of legacy and evolution. Flame breathing burns with focused intensity, its movements deliberate and strong, like Rengoku's noble spirit. Water breathing flows with adaptability and grace, mirroring Tanjiro's compassion. Thunder breathing is sharp, sudden, electric, like Zenitsu's fear-turned courage. Wind breathing is wild and unrestrained, echoing the stormy rage of Sanemi. And stone breathing is solid, unshakable, like the quiet resolve of Gyomei. Each form is more than just a technique. It's a reflection of inner truth, a dance passed down not only through muscle memory, but through intention. It shows us that in this world, even combat becomes expression, and every warrior's blade sings with the music of their heart. Fact 47 returns us to the place where it all began. The earrings worn by Tanjiro, the Hanafuda cards, are not only a family heirloom, but also a symbol linked to the original sun-breathing user, Yoriichi Tsugikuni. Yoriichi, though long gone, lingers like a shadow in sunlight, a quiet presence etched into the foundation of the Demon Slayer legacy. His unmatched power, gentle nature, and tragic fate make him more myth than man. And yet, through Tanjiro, fragments of that spirit rise once more. The earrings, with their twin half-sun patterns, were once feared by Muzan himself, who remembers Yoriichi as the only swordsman he could not destroy. And so, each time Tanjiro wears them into battle, he is not only carrying his family's love, but the weight of a legacy that stretches far beyond his lifetime. It's a soft burden, but a sacred one. And when the wind rustles past his ear and the sunlight catches on his blade, it is as if the past whispers encouragement, gentle, steady, and full of purpose. Fact 48 glows quietly in the distance. The Demon Slayer Corps has operated in secrecy for over 1,000 years, hidden from public view, sustained by tradition, belief, and an unwavering mission to protect humanity from demons, even if the world never knows their names. There are no medals, no parades, no monuments etched in stone. Most civilians are unaware they even exist. And yet, every night, slayers rise and walk into the dark, not for glory, but for others. Their battle is unseen, their sacrifices unspoken. But that is what gives their courage its shape. They are the protectors who do not demand to be remembered, only that peace remains. And in that humility, their legacy becomes something timeless, something eternal. These 4 truths settle now like falling leaves, each one quiet, each one shaped by hands long gone but never forgotten. Kagaya's wisdom, the elemental breath of warriors, the echo of Yoriichi in Tanjiro's earrings, the invisible strength of 1,000 years of sacrifice. All of them, like threads in a tapestry, too vast to see at once, come together in silence. And it is in that silence that we begin to understand that strength is not always loud, that legacy is not always visible, that a single act of kindness, spoken or silent, can echo across generations like a ripple across still water. So now, as the world grows softer and your thoughts begin to fade like mist in morning light, carry these quiet truths with you. Let Kagaya's calm be the rhythm of your breath. Let the elemental breathing styles dance through your dreams. Let the past hold your hand and remind you you are part of a story that stretches across time, across darkness, across sorrow. A story built not on shouting, but on the soft murmur of compassion. A story, like this night, meant to be lived slowly. And when you're ready to continue, more truths wait in the quiet. And so, the quiet stream of discoveries nears its final bend, where the soft light begins to dim and the night air thickens with a peaceful kind of hush. We've wandered through the haunted forests of memory, lingered in the shade of forgotten temples, and watched the flicker of courage in the faces of those who chose to stand against despair. Now, with only 2 truths left to cradle in our hands, we slow our steps even further. There's no need to rush now. Let time stretch. Let thought fade. Let each final detail arrive like a candle flickering to life in a darkened room. Fact 49 is a gentle one, but it carries the weight of a heart learning to heal. It's about Kanao Tsuyuri, the soft-spoken, bright-eyed girl who once could not speak at all. And it's about a single silver coin, so small, so easily overlooked, and yet carrying within it an entire world of meaning. Kanao's coin isn't just a tool of chance. It's a symbol of her trauma, her silence, and most of all, her journey toward choice. You see, when she was a child, her life was not her own. Born into suffering, she endured cruelty so complete that her only refuge became emotional detachment. She stopped reacting, stopped deciding, stopped feeling. And then she was saved, taken in by Kanai and Shinobu Kocho, 2 sisters who saw in her not just a fragile child, but a soul that still shimmered beneath the ash. They didn't rush her healing. They didn't force her to speak. They gave her space and kindness, and they gave her a coin. That coin, they told her, would help her decide when she couldn't choose. Flip it and follow what the coin says. Heads or tails, yeah or no, action or stillness. It was a crutch, yes, but also a gentle bridge, until one day when she no longer needed it. And the moment that comes, quiet, unannounced, almost like a whisper, is one of the most profound in the entire story. When Kanao finally chooses not to flip the coin, when she finally acts from her own heart, it marks a full circle of healing. Not a loud declaration, not a speech or a battle cry, just a simple refusal to depend on fate, because at last she trusts herself. In a story filled with sword clashes and world-shaking stakes, this small moment of agency is one of its most beautiful triumphs. And then, just like that, we arrive at Fact 50, the last, the softest, the one that wraps itself around everything that came before, like a warm blanket over tired shoulders. Demon Slayer, beneath the blood and sorrow, beneath the battles and breathing techniques, is a story about compassion. It could have been a story about vengeance, about the endless cycle of hatred. And at times, it almost is. But Tanjiro Kamado, the boy with the kind eyes and the calloused hands, never lets the darkness win. From the very beginning, he chooses to understand rather than hate. He sees demons not as monsters, but as broken people, twisted by pain and fear. His sword is sharp, but his gaze is soft. And again, even after life-threatening battles, he kneels beside the defeated, closes their eyes, and prays for them. That quiet compassion is the soul of Demon Slayer. It's why the demons are given backstories, why they cry when they die, why Muzan himself, even in his cruelty, is never completely stripped of his humanity. Every character, from the Hashira to the lowest fledgling, is shaped by their past, their fears, their losses. And rather than dismissing those stories, Demon Slayer chooses to honor them. It's there in the way Giyu Tomioka, stoic and reserved, carries the memory of Sabito like a wound. It's in the way Rengoku smiles through his final moments, offering hope instead of bitterness. It's in Shinobu's quiet rage, masked by grace, and in Zenitsu's trembling bravery. Even Inosuke, raised by beasts and swinging wildly at the world, finds gentleness in Tanjiro's unwavering acceptance. Kindness in this world is not naivete. It is not weakness. It is a choice, a powerful one, and in the face of overwhelming sorrow, that choice becomes a kind of resistance, the resistance to give in to despair, the resistance to become what you fight. Demon Slayer teaches us in quiet ways that we do not have to be perfect to be good, that forgiveness is not erasure, but an offering, that even the smallest gesture, a shared meal, a steady hand, a word of comfort, can be enough to change someone's path. And so, as the final truth settles into the silence, like the last snowflake falling on untouched ground, we pause. The facts are done now. The voices quiet. All that remains is the gentle feeling they leave behind, an afterglow of warmth and sorrow and stillness. But we are not quite finished. Not yet. There is still a soft curtain call waiting in the next part. A final space carved out not for knowledge, but for rest. A place where all the names we've spoken and all the stories we've shared can drift gently into the distance, like lanterns floating down a moonlit river. Now, as the final embers of this journey begin to cool, we let the warmth of the story settle into something quieter, something softer than even silence. All the names we've spoken, the moments we've shared, the truths we've whispered into the quiet of the night, they remain like soft petals resting on the surface of a still pond. There's no more need to count or uncover, no more need to seek. Here, in the final hush of it all, we are simply allowed to be, resting in the comfort of stories already told. You've walked alongside slayers and demons, Hashira and fledglings, broken hearts and unbreakable wills. You've touched the sorrow of loss, the burn of vengeance, the trembling hope in a child's hand reaching for something kind. And all throughout, a single thread has carried us, woven through every breath, every blade, every prayer. That thread is stillness, a quiet belief that in the end, after all the chaos and pain, there is always room to rest, even for the weary, especially for the weary. Because Demon Slayer, for all its intensity and beauty, is at its heart a bedtime story for the broken, a lullaby for those who have seen too much, lost too much, hurt too deeply to close their eyes easily. It does not shy away from the darkness, but it never lets you feel alone in it. Every character, no matter how brave or foolish, is someone trying to carry something heavy. And in that, we see ourselves. In their trembling hands and tired eyes, we find pieces of our own journey. Think of Tanjiro, whose kindness never falters, even when the world asks him to hate. He teaches us that compassion is not passive, it is courageous. To offer understanding to those who have done harm, to hold out hope for those drowning in their own regret, is one of the rarest kinds of strength. It's the kind of strength that does not need to raise its voice. It only needs to keep showing up. Or consider Nezuko, whose silence holds an entire universe. She doesn't speak a single word, but her presence, her quiet loyalty, says more than 1,000 conversations ever could. She reminds us that you don't always need to explain your pain for it to be real. Sometimes, surviving is its own kind of expression. And then there's Zenitsu, so afraid of the world that his courage surprises even himself. or Inosuke, wild and loud, only because no one taught him how to be gentle. And yet, they too find their place. Their fear is not a flaw. It's just part of their growing, part of learning how to live without being ruled by the storm inside. Even the Hashira, those bright, shining protectors, carry with them stories that ache. Rengoku, who chose joy even when it hurt. Mitsuri, whose love was always seen as too much, and yet she gave it anyway. Muichiro, who forgot his past but never lost the core of who he was. Tengen, Shinobu, Giyu, all of them shaped by grief, molded by loss. And yet, none of them allowed their pain to harden into cruelty. They allowed it to deepen their care. And what about the demons? Their stories are perhaps the saddest lullabies of all. So many of them once wanted something simple, a sibling, a home, a place to belong. They reached for those things and fell. And even though they became twisted, even though they harmed others, Demon Slayer never robs them of their humanity. It simply lays it bare, like a forgotten song half buried in snow. This willingness to mourn the villains, to see their suffering without excusing their choices, is part of what makes the series so powerful. It's not just about winning battles. It's about understanding why those battles were necessary and grieving what was lost in the process. It's about remembering that every scar, every tear, every soft goodbye whispered at the end of a blade matters. So as you lie there now, perhaps with your breath starting to slow and your eyes beginning to close, let this story hold you the way Tanjiro might have held a trembling soul he just saved. Not with demands, not with pressure, just presence, just care. Let the final images flicker behind your eyes like fireflies at the edge of memory. A train speeding through the night, filled with dreams and heroes. A butterfly landing on a fallen blade. A girl with pink eyes, watching the sunrise for the first time in years. A child turning a coin in their hand before finally choosing not to flip it. Let all of these moments wrap around you now, like a soft blanket pulled up to your chin. You don't have to carry anything. Not now. Not here. The journey has already been walked. The stories have been told. The last page is turning, not with a crash or a bang, but with a sigh, a breath, a letting go. There will be other nights, other stories, other names whispered into the dark. But for now, you can rest in the glow of everything you've just remembered. Demon Slayer, in all its beauty and sorrow, was never about the ending. It was about the small kindnesses, the little lights that flicker even when the night is at its deepest, the people who stay, even when they're hurting, the strength that grows in quiet places. So sleep now. Let the past fall behind like snow drifting from the trees. Let your body soften and your heart uncoil. If you listen closely, maybe you can still hear them. The footsteps of slayers in the woods, the murmur of a crow overhead, the laughter of siblings long gone but never forgotten. They are not asking anything of you. They are simply here to stay with you until the dawn. And when the sun rises, whenever it chooses to, you will be ready. Not because you fought, but because you rested, because you remembered, because you allowed yourself to feel what so many tried to bury. That is its own kind of strength, too. Good night, and may your dreams be peaceful.